professional. Should I get this mic over so I can be kind of like you? So yeah.
Yeah.
What's
All right.
going?
Hey Scott,
Yeah.
we are actually rolling in the audio of the show.
All right.
So go ahead and open us up, man.
All right. Welcome to episode 140 of the Narcissistic Music Disorder.
All right. So obviously, today for our listeners, our non-visual listeners, I don't know, our audio listeners, there's a word I'm looking for. Today's a special day for us. It is tell us what's going on, man.
We have our friend Lou Musa from the Verve Pipe, locally
Yeah.
Rocket King, right?
Yeah, started that band. I'm not in that band anymore, but I started that in 2001 with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Marty. I was
Yeah.
pals with Marty back in the day.
Yeah.
Used to jam with Marty and Mia
Yeah. Yeah,
from
Mia,
Marble.
yeah. I ran into Marty one of our gigs this last summer in the LA area.
Yep.
It had been a few years since I talked to him, but it was good to see. He's doing great. He's got a family, and
Yeah,
he's
I
doing
love
really good
Marty.
things out there.
So you're not doing I'm going to let you guys talk a second because it looks like the power source for this computer has been disconnected. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I won't be able to hear you, but I got to go fire this up. I got to walk around the back of the desk. Keep talking.
Yeah. So I ran into you a couple weeks ago at the well, my buddies were playing from Synth Theorem
Oh yeah, it was at the
at the
not
intersection,
Intersite Elevation, which is
elevation
downstairs.
room. Yeah.
Yeah, I went down there. It was me, my wife, Channing, who's also in the band, and Brian, who's obviously in the band. We wanted to go see Dane. He's kind of been our current drummer in our lineup. His band, If He Dies, He Dies,
Oh, okay.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
which we go back. Dane and I and his band and Rocket King go back from the beginning. We used to play a lot. We used to have those guys play at our shows, which was always a fun treat because here's Rocket Kings, they're kind of like basically like rock, blues, ballads, and a lot of swing tunes, and then we'd have If He Dies be our guest
Yeah.
opener, and then they have all their people out moshing.
I
So
was
they'd
just
be
gonna ask. I was gonna ask what If He Dies is like. And I'll tell
Yeah.
you
Or
why.
metal.
They're like a heavy.
it. Oh yeah, screamy metal, screaming metal.
So they've been around quite a while, haven't they?
Yeah, at
Yes.
least mid 2000s, I believe. Yeah.
Well, I can remember playing clubs and their name would be on the sign. And this was a thing to do. I don't know if this was a thing to do anywhere, but in my hometown, but like bands would rearrange the letters of the sign. Like my band was Sweat and Bullets. I was in a cover band called Sweat and Bullets. We
Yeah.
pulled up one time and the sign said Satan's titties. It was that. So we in Dutch Henry,
That's a good one.
we used and I don't know what the sign had said, but when we pulled up the band, If He Dies, He Dies had maybe played the night before or something, and the sign said, If he dies by 5, he dies by 9. And I remember we still say that. If he dies by 5, he dies by 9. But I was, and those guys are still active, right? It's still an active
Yeah.
band.
Oh yeah. They're they had a few years, I guess, off. But yeah, they keep doing it. Yeah. I mean, they were killer, man. I hadn't seen them in probably maybe 15 years. Yeah, and I mean they were killing it, dude.
Nice, nice. So we've talked about the fact that you're the guitar player in the Verve Pipe, and
Yeah.
for our listeners, and I don't know how many of our listeners would know that, but the Verve Pipe probably most well known for The Freshman, right? The
Yeah.
big single, and of course all the other, and no offense to anybody, The Freshman I still think is a great song, but there's so many other Verve Pipe songs I love and I think are cool, and guitar stuff. It's got to be a guitarist's dream. It's got to be fun.
Oh, of course, yeah. A lot of especially on the older stuff, which was AJ played on that. A lot of cool guitar parts. And and one of the things that's cool about being in this band, I've been in this band like I think we're coming on 17 or 18 years or something like that. But, and I've been on the last, 7 records and, written songs.
Right.
And what's cool is that, you know, we, it's cool to bring in you're okay if you bring your own idea in for a part on someone else's song. Like Brian writes a song, like I come up with how the guitar parts are going to go or a cool riff for the part. And, and that's what's cool about being in this band versus this is what you got to play, and everyone's
Right.
showing you what their song is going to be. So there's a freedom, creativity in that in this group, that we all are kind of free to throw out our idea, even if it's not our own song that we came in with.
How
Right.
fleshed out are, and we're off topic already. Welcome to the
Yeah.
NMD podcast. That's what we do. But how fleshed out would a Brian Vander Ark demo be? Are we talking acoustic and voice? Does he produce?
Yeah, and most of the time, even just on this last record, which we all came in with songs that weren't even close to being anything. They were just like, hey, I have a little idea here. And then we kind of ran with it, and we all kind of wrote together. But even
Nice.
prior to that, it was, yeah, it would be like if he brought in a song, it would be maybe like the lyric is kind of done, the melody and basic chord progression is done, but it might be missing a bridge, or
Gotcha.
you know, the arrangement isn't all together. Like where I would come in, you know, with the songs I wrote for the band, I would come in probably a little bit early on. I would come in with a full like production, you know, like, hey, this is how the song goes. These are all the backing ground vocal, you know, way too much. Way too
Right.
much.
Right.
And then I learned, like, you know, it's just better, I think, overall, when you can just like, you know, just strum it on acoustic guitar, throw out a basic melody, and then let everyone else kind of do their thing to it, you know, and make it a collaborative kind of venture, you know.
Well, then you're not married to any of those demo parts either. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like in
totally.
your, you know, and it's happened to all of us, but you know, you bring in your Bohemian Rhapsody demo, right? And then
Yeah.
you're so addicted to that, you know, baritone part that you thought was the coolest shit on earth, and the guys in the band are like, that's dumb, you know,
Yeah,
or
it doesn't
whatever.
need to be there. Why does it need to be there?
And then every time you listen, you're like, but my baritone part isn't there. Yeah, that's
yeah.
funny.
My thing was always like the, you know, extended guitar solo.
Right,
So
right.
here's my song, and my solo needs to be, you know, at least 24 bars.
Exactly. Yeah, right. And we're gonna trim some of the fat. So what we'll do
Yeah.
is we'll cut out some lyrics, but that solo,
Yeah.
those 24 bars
We'll
are
just
gonna
cut the
stay
intro in half.
there. Right. So Scott, tell our listeners who aren't familiar with our special guests, when we have guests, what our format is.
Well, today we're gonna do a pick 5, and we did the route we've been doing with the rock, pop, power pop, country, hip hop or R&B, and then your wild card or NMD record, as we call them here.
Yes.
So something obscure, you know, that you like, or something that, you know.
All right. Well, I gotta be honest with you guys. Like, you told me what this show was gonna be about. You said pick one out of those categories. I'm like, come on, guys, really? I can't pick one. And it's gonna change. Like by the hour, my favorites would change.
Us too.
Us too.
Yep. As a matter
That's
of fact,
why we had to do. That's why we had to do. When we first started doing this, we did 10, and our episodes would be almost 2 hours.
Yeah, and
I bet
nobody's listening that long.
Right, exactly. It's the equivalent of like being at a cocktail party and everyone just kind of leaves the room.
Yeah,
you're there
right.
by yourself. You're by yourself with an Elvis Costello album you've been talking about for the last couple hours. So yeah, that's the format. Again, and you know, Lou, it's funny you say that. It changes day to day. You know, Scott recently, because Scott's pretty hard on me. He said, hey man, you've used like Billy Joe Shaver as your country album for the last like 4 or 5 of these episodes, like a Billy. So, and then I think the last time we had a guest, I used Waylon Jennings' Honky Tonk Heroes that was written by Billy Joe Shaver.
Yeah, it all ties back in.
Yeah, and I think I was just riding Shaver pretty hard for a while. So at least today I've come up with something different in that category.
Me too.
So yeah, but Scott, you want to kick us off, or you want our guest to get us started?
Let's let our guest start us off with his rock.
Lou, what's a rock album that you would put?
Okay. So obviously I have so many, and like again, it would change by the minute, but I would say probably impactful for me around the time, you know, my young teenage years, probably Bryan Adams' Reckless.
Oh my God, that's a jam. That's a great album.
Every song, it's like, it is a course in songwriting and layer, and like, I mean, I can't even, every song's a hit. and every song has a purpose and it fits so perfect together in sequence.
Yeah.
And the thing about that, would that record come out 83, 4, something like that?
84, I think.
4.
Yeah.
So I remember my sister had gotten it, and by that, that time I was like more into like Def Leppard, and
Yeah.
more into the guitar rock kind of stuff. That
Yep, me
Ozzy
too.
Osbourne, of course, Van Halen, first Van Halen record. That would have been I would have picked that maybe 2 minutes ago as my favorite, but I just thought about it. But my sister got that record, and she's a few years younger than me. And I remember her playing it in her room, and I was just like, "What is this?" And then, I stole it from her, and I started playing it secretly in my room. And I'm like, I love every cut of that record. Is awesome. Awesome.
And I, much like you mentioned, that Van Halen record and Ozzy and stuff like that. I was, I was as metalhead as they could be at that point. And I still kind of am. But at that time, I was Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest had come out in like 83. Sure. It was huge for me. I was an Iron Maiden guy. It was all that. The poofy haired stuff was just starting to kind of get hot. Motley Crue's and Rats and stuff like that.
Which the first Motley Crue record was, I never got into that band, but that first record blew me away.
But it's my favorite one. Yeah. Too Fast for Love.
Too Fast for Love. Yeah.
Killer. The Bryan Adams record though, number one, I tell this story because I still like solo will still bust out like not off Reckless, but I'll do like Cuts Like a Knife sometimes. Or
sure.
I got in a bad spot at a gig recently where I just could not. I threw every pitch I had, and I couldn't get anything across the plate. And then I panicked, and I do have a panic list, like come on, Merchant, come on. So I panicked and pulled out Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams.
Of course,
and dude, right, Scott, you were there.
Yeah.
It's like the only time anyone danced the whole time.
Yeah.
And
talk about an iconic song. Holy cow.
That record too. And I couldn't tell you, which is funny for a guy with an MD like me. I couldn't tell you who played on it. I don't know his backing band. I don't know. I know his guitar player's killer, but I can't.
Yeah, well, it was. I don't know I'm the same with the names, but I believe it was him and the guitar player that were shopping all those songs at the time, if I'm not mistaken. It was something like that.
I'll tell you who quit the band. Jimmy quit.
Jody got married.
Yeah, he got married.
So those guys weren't in the band. We know that.
Yeah, they left the band.
But
I had that on 24 karat gold CD.
Oh.
That's how much I like that record.
Wow. Did that have Kids Want to Rock on it? Was that on Reckless? Everywhere
I think so.
The Kids Want to Rock. That's a great.
That might have been track 1.
Yes, I think it was. God, what a great opener. What a great
Run to You and all those.
Run to You is one of
my favorite tunes.
What a well-written tune.
Great song.
And there was oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that record, I was trying to say this earlier, but that record to me, even thinking about it now, it's a college music course on songwriting,
right,
and production. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. And think about that time before then. The records that I looked at that time, which would have been before I was born, like Boston, that first Boston record, which still is considered one of the best. Like that was kind of the level like we were at with that Reckless, right? In my opinion.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of drastic, like this is perfection here.
And don't quote me on this because I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that like Bruce Fairbairn was involved in Reckless. That thing might have been recorded at like Little Mountain up in Vancouver. I don't know that for sure. But
well, that's the only problem with Bryan Adams. He is Canadian.
Well, right.
I'm just kidding.
Right, exactly.
I love Canadian.
And the thing is, that record too is was so well done that you started to see like and God, I wish I knew because I could be talking out my ass. But I think Bruce Fairbairn was involved in that record, and if I'm not mistaken, that's what you were seeing when like Aerosmith did Pump. They brought in Bruce Fairbairn. Everyone was going up there. Yeah. Everyone was recording in Vancouver. Bob Rock was getting really popular in production. You were starting to see that Little Mountain. I think it's Little Mountain Studios in Vancouver.
That sounds right. Yeah.
It was like Pump was there and Dr. Feelgood and think about those big Bob Rock, big kick drum. I know that for Pump, Aerosmith's Pump, like Bruce Fairbairn, they called him the town planner. He would he was placing bridges where they went, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just really cool. God, what a great opener for the show. Good pick, Lou. What do you got,
Yeah.
Scott?
Ike Riley from his record called Crooked Love.
I know the name. Tell me.
I've heard the name too, but I can't tell
He's
you
from
where.
Libertyville, Illinois. Still there.
Huh.
Lou, you're from Rockford, correct?
Yeah, I know where Libertyville is. Sure.
Yeah. Home of Cheap Trick.
Yeah, I
You
came
are.
from.
Well,
I was
Rockford,
born.
right?
Yeah, I was in Rockford. Yeah, I grew up in Rockford, Illinois. I
You
hung
grew up
out.
there?
Oh yeah, that's where I was born.
No kidding. How cool.
Yeah, and yeah, so I know those guys, Rick and those guys, and the rock boat cruise that we did a few months ago. Miles Nielsen and his kid,
Yeah.
which I know from back living back there. Yeah, me and him got to hang out for a little bit.
I'll
and it
tell
was
you
cool
what,
to see.
that dude's got a great band too.
Great
The
band.
Rusted
Great
Hearts,
band.
yeah.
Yes.
Rusted Arts, yeah.
Great. I got into them. You know who likes them is our friends Bruce and Wendy. They like travel.
Oh
the
yeah,
scene.
they're a huge fan.
So I was trying to get them up to Ludington for a show.
Oh, for sure,
at the
yeah.
Sandbar. I was trying to
Yeah.
get them up here, pushing. I mean, so like in negotiations, and it kind of fell through. Well, they ended up playing up here to kind of a sparse crowd, but man, that's a killer band too. Sorry, I swiped you, Scott. Continue on with Ike Riley, please.
Ike's just I think that's his 2018 record. He goes back and forth between solo and Ike Riley and the Assassination, which is his band.
Okay.
But it's just great songwriting, Americana, rock, punk,
Yeah.
all that type of stuff thrown
Which you
in.
could-
He's very poetic songwriter.
Nice. I know
One
the
of those
name.
guys where you don't know what the hell he's going to say next. He says crazy stuff.
Oh,
So
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that in my songwriting. All right. Well, my rock pick. This album, I believe, I'm not going to have a year. It's later 70s. It should have came with like at least a small baggie of cocaine because it was literally. It still had this record has cocaine residue on it. It's Aerosmith's live bootleg.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which is
Yeah.
First of all, it's a great Aerosmith's greatest hits, right? It's still
Yes. From then,
right?
Yeah.
Before Bruce Fairbairn and before Desmond Child, before those guys got involved. First of all, it's pretty live, man. I'm sure they cleaned it up. They had to.
Oh, of course.
But
Of course.
but it's got moments in it, some real staples of 70s live music, one of which is fireworks. When people used to bring fireworks to concerts, like firecrackers, those are going off. You can hear crack, 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 but it's also got Toys in the Attic and Back in the Saddle and Come Together. The gold on this record is the B-side, where they were in Massachusetts and Boston in a club, and they recorded a few club songs, like Mother Popcorn by James Brown. A couple things like that. And they had a guy sitting in on saxophone who I don't know. And you get then you can really hear it sounds like a good 70s club band, and to me, 70s club bands sound like the walls are carpeted, the stage is carpeted. The ceilings just above your head. It's just a great record. I've always loved
smell the nicotine and
exactly.
The booze.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So that was definitely a big album for me. So what's your pop record, Lou?
All right, so pop, and pop is hard because I like a lot of the stuff I'm hearing now. This new Lady Gaga record is amazing. I've probably listened to it maybe 5 times front to back. Mayhem, I think it's what's called. What's the guy from One Direction? Harry Styles. That record he put out 2 years ago, Fine Line, I believe. Okay, so pop, I would say, like, because I got to go back to like more of my childhood, teenage years. Prince, Sign of the Times.
Oh,
I mean that to me, like, even though I would say it's kind of more in that, it could be in the R&B category, I think at times, but he was so across the board, and I just remember getting that on cassette and just being like, what is that? I mean, I knew who Prince was because just being in the Midwest, but that particular record, man, it was just great. Every song was just like, what are those sounds I'm hearing? Like he just like created things that you never heard before, and then the production of it was just incredible.
Before, so I had been a Prince fan forever because my best friend's sister was a early like controversy era Prince fan, and
Okay,
she
yeah.
also was, had Ice Cream Castles by the time. So I
Hmm.
was already fully in on Prince, fully into it. When Sign of the Times came out, remember there was a movie too, actually, that went with the record, right? It was the
Yeah.
soundtrack to the movie. But the songs, I mean, that has one of my favorite Prince songs, which is "I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man," which is a
Oh yeah,
great
it's a
jam.
great track.
That I'll never forget thinking about vocal phrasing and how songs are put together. If you hear the song "Sign of the Times" has a line in it, and in September my brother tried reefer for the very first time.
Yeah.
Now he's doing horse. It's June.
Yeah.
It's like, God,
Yeah.
man.
It's
Woo!
great.
There's some other great lines in Sign of the Times. In France, a skinny man died from a big disease with a little
Yes.
name.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Great.
it's
So good.
great. It's
So good.
great. It's such a great album. Wow, that's a killer album. What's your pop pick, Scott?
Uh, from a New York band called the Damwells. I believe it's their debut album called Air Stereo.
Huh. I've heard that
Um,
name too.
I haven't heard that. That's not familiar to
Alex
me.
Deason is the lead singer. The drummer was what's his name? Steve Terry from Whiskeytown.
Oh yeah.
He
That's
was the
exactly.
drummer in the Damwells, or is.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
They're like you know, poppier than like Ryan Adams, but that good of songwriting. Alex Deason is an amazing songwriter.
Wow. I'll have to check that out.
Um, yeah,
Hey,
I was turned on to
what
these
era is
guys.
that?
What's that?
What era is that? Like what years was that?
2006, I think
Okay.
this record came out. I was turned on to these guys by a mutual friend of John and I's named Denny Smith from the Great Affairs band.
Well, you'll see them, Lou. You're playing with them in Ludington. That's your opening act at Sticks in
Oh, the
Ludington.
Sticks. Yeah. That's
Is
coming up, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Great Affairs who are playing on that bill with you.
And in Pawpaw.
Oh, they're doing a Paw Paw date too with these guys with Verve Pipe.
Yep, with Verve Pipe. Yep.
Well,
Oh,
I'll
cool.
tell you this, Lou. You talk about songwriting and a
Yeah.
power pop. If you love Cheap Trick like I do,
Enough's enough.
without it's like great songwriting without a bunch of cliche, guitar parts for days,
Riffs
just
and hooks
yep,
and guitar parts
you're gonna
for
be
days.
you'll be thrilled, man. You'll
Awesome.
be
Yeah, I look
thrilled. Yeah,
forward to it.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
Denny sent me like like a playlist of his favorite songs, and I looked them up, and like most of them were from this record Air Stereo. So I
Hmm.
went back and got that, and then I've just bought everything since. Alex's solo stuff. He's just a great songwriter.
Where are
if
they
you're
where are they
into
based
like
out of?
New
Where
York,
New York. Oh, yeah. East Coast.
if you're into that pop, like I don't know what bands from the 90s, like bands like Default and
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
just played
that.
with those guys.
They were
Yeah.
you'd be into the
Yeah.
Damwells.
Yeah,
I'm
Defaults was like I was really impressed with those guys. They were on the rock boat a couple weeks ago with us, and I knew the name, but I wasn't really familiar with them. And then I watched their set. Man, they just killed it, dude. Killed it.
So let
Like,
me
Yeah.
ask you this.
yeah.
We take a lot of side streets here too. So let me ask you this. You obviously got an opportunity to see some bands on this cruise you were on. Who
Yeah, the
stuck
last one.
out? Who was the best? Who did you without I mean, everyone's great, I'm sure. But I
Yeah,
mean, is there someone that really spoke to you?
okay. So I'm going to talk about just the one we did 2 weeks ago, which was the Creed cruise.
Right.
So there were a lot more heavier bands
Mhm.
that weren't on the last two that we did last year, but I would say Seven Dust, and I've seen them before. And what I liked about them so much was that they went out and they play their music, whether you like it or not. It's just in your
Yeah.
face. It just melts faces. They were great, and then it was funny. We're doing our set like I think the next night at another venue inside on the ship, and we look out. And you could see all those guys out there
Cool.
Watching our set. And then we ran into the drummer, Morgan, that came up, and we just ran and raving about like how they loved our set, and
Killer.
how they like, he has a video of the band when they first got started, and this must have been obviously in the late 90s, when they heard the Villains record or something like that, and they were on a tour bus, just playing that record over and over again. And he was going to send us this video, the whole video that they had of it, something like that. But it was so not only did they blow me away, and it's so not like my style of music. I mean, I appreciate it, but I don't play like that. And anyway, I do appreciate watching it and just the energy on it. But just like, we're out there playing, ballady kind of stuff.
Right.
And these guys aren't like, oh, these guys are pussies. They're not thinking like that. They're like, these guys, they loved it, and they hung out the whole time, and I was just blown away by those guys. But all the other bands we played with before. So Fuel, those guys are great. They do their thing. And like I said, all the other bands we knew of and have played with before. But I'd probably say, Seven Dust, just because we've never played with them before, and I've only seen it once back in 2000s, I think, when they played the Orbit Room or something like that in Grand Rapids.
I remember
I've been
that
friends
show
with those guys for years.
Great dude.
Vinny, I love Vinny. Vinny's awesome.
That's cool.
Dude, they're just
the bass
great.
player.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So Scott, your pick was the Damnwells for Pop. My pop record, and now I've talked about this album before. I've taken a lot of heat for this album. I mean, I was verbally abused for 10 years in Dutch Henry about this album.
Oh no.
This is quite the setup, by the way.
I'll tell you what, because it's a kick-ass record. Okay. And Scott, you can say "oh no" all you want, and I'm going to defend it right now.
I know what it is.
And I'm good. You go ahead. If you guess right, I would never lie. Tell me.
It's Mr. Roboto by Stick.
Say it by its right name, by the way. It's called Kilroy Was Here.
Okay, whatever.
That's a great record. Oh my God.
Lou, I can't hug through the video, or I would.
I'm with you on that.
So can we, number one, again, and much like I mentioned with Live Bootleg, I do believe cocaine makes people think they should have a stage production with robots and talking, and Tommy Shaw's going to have a headset mic. He's going to come out, and there's going to be some dialogue. Let's get past all that and go songs. First of all, Mr. Roboto is a great.
It's a killer tune.
Killer 80s, early 80s synth pop thing. But there's songs on there. There's a ballad on there called "Don't Let It End." That's gold.
What was oh no, it wasn't on that record. Lady. Was it Lady?
Yeah.
Was it on that record?
No, that's before. I think that was on Paradise Theater, maybe. Yeah. This has it has that song "Don't Let It End," which is, and then there's a song. If you guys, Scott, if you listen to this song, just give it a chance. Yeah. It's called "Haven't We Been Here Before?"
Oh yeah.
And there's a vocal. It's probably one of the coolest vocal lines I've ever heard, because it's like, and I'm guessing it's going to be Dennis DeYoung and Tommy Shaw, and like one of them sings the line, and it's Dennis DeYoung sustains a note, and then this melody comes over the top. I believe if we learn from and you couldn't get past the robots and all haters like Benting over here. But they were doing things that you would hear on Beatle records, where John and Paul would sing unison and then break into a harmony, then go back into unison.
Split off,
It just, there's so many. There's a couple rockers on there, There's a song called "Cold War" that's really good. And the other thing is that when this record came out in 1983, being I think I said it was the first cassette tape I ever purchased, when I went over from 8-tracks to cassettes. It also, I thought at the time, like young people my age at the time really did think somehow we were going to lose rock and roll, like the PMRC and this whole, the whole idea of banning this explicit rock music. They were going to come to your house and, take your Led Zeppelin albums and, fucking burn.
Yeah, but little did they know it totally backfired and it helped sell records.
The classic story is, and I'm trying to think of who it is now. It's going to bum me out that I can't think of his name. When he called his label and went, "Hey man, how come I don't have an explicit lyric sticker on this record?" He's like, "I say damn in it," or whatever it was. And they're like, it just, it wasn't explicit enough. And he's like, well, that's hurting sales. They're selling 10 Wasp albums to my one record, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, my pop pick was Kilroy was here. And
Styx
for the
one
record,
of the best bands ever. Dude.
yeah, see, for the
Hell
record,
yeah.
Lou
And Chicago, Midwest.
Yes,
Come on,
they're
man.
yes, exactly. Thank you, sir. We're on to country. What's your country pick, Lou?
Okay, so there's a couple here, but I would say it's a split because I don't know if she's like considered if it was well, I consider it a country, but Katie Lang, Torch and Twang.
Yep.
But then I was thinking like Dwight Yoakam, Guitars and Cadillacs. I mean,
that was almost my pick. That was almost my pick.
I would say I'd probably lean towards him just because I think that's more authentic country work. Katie Lang, it was kind of a mix of like it's a little poppy, but like I mean. I think you can't go wrong with either one.
No, both those
have
records
two
are
Canadian records on your list, though.
Yeah, how dare you?
Both those are great records too,
We're
man.
close to Canada, by the way.
Yeah,
my wife's half Canadian.
Exactly.
Oh.
I don't know, man. Both those records, Katie Lang, of course. You know what? Katie Lang is your kind of precursor to someone like I don't know that you get a Brandy Carlisle had Katie Lang not come ahead of that.
Totally agree.
And I love Brandy Carlisle. I love Brandy.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
One of our favorites, John 5, toured with Katie Lang.
Toured was
he was a guitar player.
That would be John Lowry to you at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I in my head when I heard that,
he wasn't painting his face.
I was gonna say when you hear
imagine?
when you hear it, your first thought is the long jacket and the painted face, and I'm like, boy, I bet he's stuck out on stage. Yeah, and if we're going to talk about the Katie Lang record, we'll talk about Guitars and Cadillacs a second. You just can't be overstated that Dwight Yoakam and a handful of artists, especially for people like me and my friends who were big country people, it was like the only thing I can describe it, the only way I ever describe it is I heard like Guitars and Cadillacs and records like that, and I was hopeful. Like, holy crap, country music is going to be, again, it's been called, and we've called it for years, the great credibility scare in Nashville. It was like, oh my God, they're going to start writing songs and people are going to start putting together those Don Rich and Buck Owens harmonies and the guitars. And I love Dan Huff. I'm a Dan Huff fan. I love Dan Huff. I certainly love Brett Mason. I love all those studio guys, but a guy like Pete Anderson, I mean, I'll tell you what, you can't see it, but sitting right here is a 65 Blackface Deluxe Reverb. It's not by accident. It's not by accident. It's because I heard those records and I just couldn't get enough of that telly and right into that deluxe. And again, it's just Dwight Yoakam, my son, who I love, who's a musician, who was thrilled to meet you, Lou, when you said you were doing the Creed cruise. I've been telling these listeners
he was super pumped
for weeks that my son just all of a sudden woke up one morning and now likes Creed and Fuel and Nickelback and all those.
I'll give him a bunch of swag. I got that.
Dude,
I'm gonna probably toss out.
He would just pass out, dude. He couldn't handle it. He'd be overwhelmed. But anyhow, I can't sell him Dwight Yoakam, and he's an old country fan too. I mean, he's a Waylon Haggard, Hank Williams. He grew up in my house. If you want to live here, you're gonna listen to you're gonna listen to that shit, and you're gonna listen to some Styx robot music too. And if you don't like it, you can get out, man. But yeah, what a great pick, great country pick. What's your country pick, Scott?
Pontiac from Lyle Lovett.
Oh,
yeah, that's a great one.
There you go again. Much like Katie Lang, right?
Yes,
Lyle Lovett kind of had a lot of ground covered too. Because Lyle Lovett could be, I mean, a country singer, but was a crooner. That's the other thing. Like with Katie Lang, with Brandy Carlisle, with Lyle Lovett. I mean, those are country music, which is probably why I've gravitated to it. Not always known. I mean, you had the George Jones camp where, George Jones can sing the phone book, right? He's a song stylist. He can sing anything. There are a lot of great voices in country music, Charlie Pride, blah, blah, blah. But you also had like the tone of Hank Williams Sr.'s voice, right? I mean, that's not a beautiful singing voice at all.
Yeah.
So you had both those things. Well, I think Lyle Lovett could croon too, you know?
Yes.
He was a pure singer.
He had a swagger to the way he sung, and and his songs like were just kind of like they had a groove to them that you didn't
Yeah.
see in like a modern at the time modern country.
Right. Well, plus
Yeah.
he was just so cool. And
Yeah.
again, not a traditionally attractive man. and
Didn't he marry Julia
he
Roberts?
married Julia
He did.
Roberts, dude. Which again, you talk about a Dwight Yoakam record giving you hope. When Lyle Lovett
Yeah.
marries Julia Roberts,
Yeah.
ugly dudes like me all over the world were like, all right, man, a change is coming. This is our day, man.
Listen here, kids, just grab a guitar and play.
Yeah.
You can get anyone you want.
And turns out that's not the truth at all. They sold
No,
me
it's
a
not.
bill of goods because I'm sitting in a room full of these bastards and my wife won't even talk to me. So yeah, great pick, Scott. Great pick. My country pick is a bluegrass record. It's a bluegrass record that when I'm not a huge bluegrass guy, and I'm probably even less a newgrass guy, you know. I love pretty early. I'm a big Louvin Brothers fan.
Yeah.
You know, there's always gonna be the like public domain stuff I like,
Yeah.
and the Louvin Brothers and you know Doc Watson, all that sort of stuff. But Steve Earle has a record called Train a Comin'. And
I know that record. Yeah, I think I have that.
It's a great record.
It's a great record.
I had heard that, and it's, you know, that had oh my God, now I'm gonna forget his name. Norman Blake is on that record.
Oh yeah.
I was
iconic guy.
I was told that Steve Earle did Train a Comin' because he had just fatigued himself. Like the live shows were pretty loud. Yeah. I remember some of those tours, you know, Steve was playing out 2 classic 50s, you know, that was his rig for a while. 2 classic 50s, so 4 12s of PV classic 50s. And I've never been able to get a classic 30. To adjust the volume, I use a pen just to touch it, because if you go too far, yes, it's too loud. Too loud for the room. But it's just a beautiful record. There's a solo Norman Blake piece on it. Steve Earle's on mandolin a lot in it.
Yeah. I remember, not to cut you off on that, I remember when I got that record, I was around that time, like I was really getting in. I was a classical guitar player, and getting into learning how to play rock guitar, electric guitar. And my teacher was really into bluegrass. And that was the record that I listened to try to steal stuff off of and try to use this finger picking, thumb picking thing, and try to figure out how I can incorporate that into what I was doing. And I mean, I loved it so much, but I couldn't. I mean, it just wasn't a passion enough for me to like really dive in deep, like the Billy Strings kind of thing, you know, like that's all you do. And, I kind of like, I kept a lot of the things. I still kind of remember some of the stuff, but and you had to be at that level. I mean, it was almost like the classical thing when I was a kid.
You got to dedicate your life to it.
That's all you focus on. And I remember my classical teacher, after like 10 years or so of studying, and I was doing flamenco style classical and getting really into that and doing competition stuff. And it was like, you know, I was like, hey, I want to learn how to play electric guitar. I was like, you know, you're going to lose your if you go into that, you're going to lose your chops in classical. And sure enough, I mean, just because you have to devote, it's really all your time's got to be devoted to that. And that's how I felt with the bluegrass thing. It was like, I love it, I appreciate it, and I wish I could play like that, but I want to also play other things. And I don't think I could devote 100% into that style.
It's a life's work.
Yeah, but that record, man, that was like, I listened to that over like years, like 2 years maybe.
Me
over
too.
And over again.
I remember having it in this will date me, in my big book with, you know, your 150 CDs on the pages, right? And I listened to that record. I worked in the music store at the time, so it'd be on a lot at Bird's Music. You'd walk in, you'd hear a lot of that Steve Earle record. And again, like you, it's like there's things I could kind of cop from there. Never an accomplished player like that, but the thing I liked was Steve Earle's approach to mandolin was something that I could appreciate and I could suss out a little bit, because he wasn't, you know, he wasn't Ricky Skaggs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could tell what he was doing and you could figure it out. It's like, I could do that. I could do that. You know, that's the attitude.
Yeah,
Of
I
course,
do that.
He's still on another level, even with that.
Dude, I do that with everything. I could do that. I could do that. And then 2 minutes in, I'm like, shit, man, I can't do
Yeah, what I get myself into.
All right. So we're on to our R&B rap.
R&B.
What do you think, Lou? What do you got?
Okay, I mean, I don't know if I remember the name of the record, but Sam Cooke.
Oh,
Was it Soul King? Soul King?
that actually feels right.
I think that was an, if I might be wrong in that, but yeah, Sam Cooke. I mean, I still to this day, like, I have like the best of it. We'll throw that on when it's romantic night or whatever.
Yeah. Beautiful music.
And then everyone that doesn't know who Sam Cooke is, just listen to Steve Perry Journey.
Oh, right. Right.
That every tone, every lick that Steve Perry did back then, where he got it from.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke. Just listen to Sam Cooke from the 60s, 70s, and then you'll hear where Journey
The blueprint.
the blueprint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's killer. Yeah, huge stuff. Scott, what's your R&B pick?
New
rap?
Ways But Love Stays from the Supremes.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. That was big in my house. I think I've told that story. My mom was not a music person, but
that was with Mary and Jean singing. That was before Diana Ross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom was a huge fan.
It's got my favorite Supreme song, Stone Love, on
That's
it.
my favorite Supreme song, dude. Stone Love.
Oh,
That's a great tune.
But they do a bunch of covers on there. It's a really cool record.
I
think it's right before Diana comes into the picture.
Which was a game changer, we have to
say.
say.
Like 74, 75. I think this record came out in 73.
Stone Love.
But it's so good.
So
they do Come Together, the Beatles on
I
there,
remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
they
that.
do a bunch of covers. It's and I don't know if Stone Love who wrote that, but this record is a go-to for, and I think the Supremes is the ultimate girl group ever. So
hard to argue that.
Yeah.
And as an interesting aside, so however many 20 plus years ago, when I joined the new forming, Greg Miller and Mitch Wood are forming Dutch Henry, and they wanted me to play bass, which I can't play, but I'm like, fuck yes.
Everyone can play bass.
I'm like, I'll figure it out. So I get a 62 jazz bass reissue. I've got an amp. I'm ready to go. They're like, the songs are going to be easy, dude. You're doing like country alternating bass lines. I'm like, well, I think I can do that. So the first 3 songs I get to learn are First Cut is the Deepest by Rod Stewart. Now, try to focus on the intro bass in your head.
Yeah.
Right? The off time weird lines.
Yeah.
I forget. The second one was something like, what's the Clapton tune? I don't care. Because don't believe me. I can't think about this Clapton tune and Stoned Love.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, awesome. Thanks a ton. So, and I learn it. I get kind of a version of it. I'm in Greg Miller's basement rehearsing with the band. And then it's like, Greg goes, well, Mitch, why don't you just play bass and we'll get John on guitar and mandolin. So I had this left-handed 62 reissue jazz bass for a mint and a bass amp that I didn't need. And then I was back ruining guitar for them. So yeah, good pick, Scott. My pick is more contemporary. To me, it's R&B music for sure. And I believe jump started kind of a whole movement. But it's Back to Black by Amy Winehouse.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've been listening to that record a little bit lately.
It's so good.
That's with the Roots backing band. Was that who it was?
That I don't know. Wow, if that's the case, that's amazing.
I think it is.
I thought it was.
That's an amazing. The tones on that record are so good. The guitar parts are so good. Her voice
want me to go to rehab.
Oh,
I mean, everything like about that when it came out. I mean, that came out what 2006, 7?
Probably 6 or 7.
6, I think.
And like you listen to it, and it was like, man, this is like taking me back to like my child, like 70s, like, and we were listening to like 50s and 60s tunes,
And that was the thing, is that whole movement, I don't know. I feel like Amy Winehouse it opened the door for the Adeles of the world and
I agree.
The Lords and it's a shame she died so young. because she had the goods. She was pretty authentic. She had a great voice. They were great songs, and not just Rehab, which is a great song,
Yeah.
but like what's the song? Tell your boyfriend next time he's around to buy his own weed. I mean, that's killer, man. And she just really opened the door for that. That became a thing, right? You know who else I believe owes a debt of gratitude to Amy Winehouse would be someone like Bruno Mars, who has that R&B side. Because you think about, like, to me, Bruno Mars is like, there's certainly that Prince influences there. There's a James Brown, but
Michael Jackson, sure.
Yes, but if you listen to, he's got a song called "Smoking Out the Window." Have you guys heard that song?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
I mean, it's a beautiful song, and it's a R&B classic, really. So
he's that dude's on another level.
Definitely, he's like living in a Prince world. Yeah,
when that tune comes on, I think it's on Lady Gaga's record. The duet they do.
Oh, cool.
That I can't remember the name of it, but they did a video or something like that. But I mean, it's huge. It's still being played right now on the radio. It just came out like 5 months ago, and it's so good. And like we like to call it, like, a lot of expensive chords.
Yes.
Yeah, just like no 1-4-5 crap. No, this is like expensive demolished chords.
Yeah. I'll just play the root over that. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. All right. So we are on to our final pick, which we call our NMD pick, which is just a record that you really love, might be kind of out of the ordinary. Is there something that for you, Lou, speaks above a lot of other records?
I mean, there's so many, and I'm just going to go what comes out of the top of my head, which I don't know if a lot of people even know this record unless you're a super fan. So Allman Brothers, Hitting the Note.
Huh.
No.
It's weird. I bring up that record title every once in a while to musician friends, and they don't know the record. And I think it came out in maybe 2003, and Jesse Beveridge, who was in Rocket King with me.
Yep.
He got me into it. He's like, dude, check this record out. It is so good. It has, what's his name? Whether guitar, Trucks and Hayes.
Warren Haynes. Okay.
Warren Haynes. Both those guys like killing it. Oh man, it's a great record, especially for guitar.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good. It's probably one of my favorite records that no one's ever heard of, even though it's from Allman Brothers.
Right. Well, and I have mentioned on the show before too, and Scott knows the story. I saw the Allman Brothers, I forget what year it was, but I can remember they announced like they're bringing out Butch's son, or what is Derek Truck? Butch's son, right?
Yeah, Butch's son, or nephew.
Yeah.
They're gonna bring him out. He's I don't know, 12 or whatever it was. And
there's videos on YouTube with that.
Dude, I think I said out loud to someone I was with, like, Jesus, like, great,
No.
And they played, and he came out for Whip and Post.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were seconds into Whip and Post when I'm looking at my buddy and looking at people around me, and we're all just, what is this? I mean, the SG, his SG looked like it was hanging on Angus Young. You know how it looks on Angus? And it was, I mean, first of all, they played that. I think I clocked it around 23 minutes.
Oh man.
But I mean, at no point in it was I super bored. I'm a song guy, so I do, I'm kind of like, let's get to the chorus, boys. But it was mind blowing. And what a player. And the Tateshi Trucks band is cool all the time. And he just seems like a dude. He just seems like a nice guy, really nice, genuine, unassuming. And great feel and tone. And killer. That's great. What's your NMD? Scott, everything Scott picks is an NMD pick, by the way. I mean, you heard his list already. It's never like
who?
It's never like, what's your favorite rock album, Scott? And he goes, Machine Head by Deep Purple. It's always something. So his NMD picks are like NMD. I wish there was a term for even deeper than NMD.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. So what's your NMD pick, Scott?
It's by a band called Little Village.
Huh. Give me a year.
Oh God, I don't know. Late
80s,
60s, early 70s.
Okay. And style.
It's all kinds of stuff. It's funk, it's country, it's rock, I'll tell you the band. We have Ry Cooter,
Oh,
Don
Okay.
Hyatt,
what?
Jim
Really?
Keltner,
On
Oh,
drums?
okay.
and Nick
Yeah.
Lowe.
What?
That's the
Oh,
band.
I've never heard of this band
I've never
before.
heard of it either. What is it?
Little Village.
Huh.
That's their popular song. Nick Lowe does not like this record. He says the studio gave us too much time to
Oh, that,
record this record.
yeah. That's a huge 60s, 70s problem.
But I love this. I love this album. They're I think the popular song off it's called Solar Sex Panel.
Ooh, I love that title.
But
When that's when that's the popular cut, you know you're in for something.
but this record is it's so fun. It's awesome. It's just
Wow.
and it if NMD musician, name checking those guys that never get name checked. So this is an NMD lover's dream band.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm.
Wow. Now mine seems
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed for mine now. Because it's, first of all, it's I know I've talked about it. I had 2 albums and I forgot the name of the other one, or I would be using it right now. But I'm going to use Lucinda Williams' Sweet Old World.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm familiar with the record. I know who
holy
that is. But I don't know
smokes,
the record.
dude. Oh, please. It's unreal. Unreal. It's probably one of the, Scott, you would agree with me.
Top
one
3
of
from her.
Top 3 and probably one of the top 10 female artist albums of all time.
She's the queen of this podcast.
Lucinda Williams, The Sweet Old World was such a huge album that it's like, I got it because someone probably like a Jack Lever. If I had money to bet, I bet it came from Jack Lever. But I'm sure it went from Jack Lever to Greg Miller to John Merchant. I got it from Greg, and I to this day I can't stop listening to it. It's great. The guitar tones are, and this is 80s-ish, I think, late 80s. They're clean. They're like, I used to think they were solid state, like a solid state, like a Roland JC120 or something. My guess is now it's probably some Silverface Fender.
Yeah,
it's that
with,
clean,
with
like
no pedal, just plugged in,
into
direct.
like a straight into like a Silverface, probably a twin. So it, like a deluxe, you would push and it'd break up a little. This thing doesn't break up. Little compression, I can hear some compression on it for sure, but beautiful songs, achingly beautiful. Her voice is great. The tones of the album, it doesn't sound super dated, which is nice. Sometimes I think albums are just dated because something came out that year. Like, hey, the Eventide H3000's out, man. And then
then everything sounded like that.
Yep. Yeah. Or, a certain reverb unit or whatever. My other pick was going to be, and I can't think of the name of the album, and you guys, everybody knows this band right now, but I watched the documentary and went to their first album. If you know the meme that's going around with the guy from Pentagram, his crazy eyes.
Yes.
Dude, their first album sounds like it's in the Sabbath catalog, but it's like a 60s, 70s thing. It's not, their current stuff doesn't do much for me, anything, but this first album, Forever
from
My,
the 60s?
Like late 60s, early 70s.
Really? Okay.
Got a song in there called Forever My Queen. It sounds like, what those and I can't even describe it other than 70s Sabbath production. It sounds like that,
It's real raw. Like in
with
your face kind of.
Like if you listen to those Sabbath albums too, it's like I can hear the beater on the back head of the bass drum.
Yeah, it's real dirty in a good way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I was going to use that stupid Pentagram album, and it's 70s, and it might even be mid 70s, maybe. I'll have to look. But the song "Forever My Queen" is the bomb, and it's great, and he's great. And if you get to watch his documentary, Last Days Here, pretty harrowing tale, man. When they find him, he's in his basement. His arms are ripped to shreds. He's been picking at him because he's doing so much crack cocaine and crystal meth.
Oh man.
And my buddy just told me when they came through, they had come through, Pentagram came through Grand Rapids, maybe Pyramid Scheme, played Pyramid Scheme and something a couple times. Well, my buddy who worked at Pyramid Scheme went up to Bobby, the singer, and goes, "Hey man, I saw you last time you were here, blah, blah, blah." And the dude goes, "I'm sorry, I don't really remember that. I was smoking a lot of crack."
Well,
It's like,
You be
that'll do it.
honest, I guess.
That'll do it, man. That'll do it. So yeah, either but Lucinda or Pentagram. Wow. So the good news about these shows, and I don't know if you do this, Scott. I have a pile of them here, but I always write stuff down if somebody's got
Absolutely.
something. So that's always exciting for me to go check out some music that I maybe haven't heard or I need to revisit. Lou, dude, thank you so much for coming and doing this
Oh
with
man,
us.
this has been a pleasure, dude.
What a trip.
Yeah.
Just a guy like you to take time. I know how busy you are. I know how constantly you're playing, and I don't want to. I certainly don't want to embarrass you, but I have to say, you come into my community usually once a year to a Christmas show at our community college.
West Shore Community College. Yeah.
That I would kind of liken, Scott, to. There's definitely a Trans-Siberian Orchestra feel to some of it. You know, it's
cool.
it's Lou and a local guy we have up here named Dave Koslow, who's a great guitar player and a super sweet human being.
Yeah.
I got embarrassingly enough, you know, I started going to the show when my son was in, you know, he's graduating
drum corps. Right?
Yeah,
Or
he's in the drum line. Yep. And he's been, you know, at community college since 8th grade, I think. You know, he's graduating high school this year, but an amazing, and it's fun because first of all, Lou, you sing in it, which is great, and you have an amazing singing voice. But for me, you know, it's nice that we get to go to something like this and I get to watch someone burn on guitar, which is a huge thing for me. And I know my wife hates it because we sit in those chairs and I'm elbowing her all night. You know, I'm sure her ribs are bruised. Like, you do something and I elbow her, like, check it out, man. You know, so and what a treat. What a treat.
It's
and
fun.
I know,
and it's coming back this year.
I know, we're excited.
I don't know if Ted's allowed me to say anything, but I just did. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is coming back, and
it's going to be great.
We're doing it again. But yeah, it's a for me. I like doing that because it's a mix. It's a variety.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the shred part of the TSO that we'll do, but it's you know, we do a lot of the other stuff like Christmassy kind of stuff that in a fun way and with different styles and featuring different people. And it's fun to be involved with that. And, you know, Ted Malt, who runs the music program out there, is like an amazing dude.
Amazing guy.
He's helped out so much of what I do and supported me. And, you know, I met him through the Verve Pipe when we were first doing the kids records.
Oh yeah.
When I first joined the band, joined the band, Donnie, the drummer, asked me, "Hey, you want to be on part of this kids record?" And I didn't know what he was even talking about. I just said yes.
Yeah, right.
And then come to find out, that was the whole thing that started the whole band again. Like the band was playing maybe once every other month here and there, like one-offs. And then we started releasing those kids records. And it was like we're top 10 on iTunes and playing the USO festivals and Lollapalooza and all these huge festivals that the band hadn't done in, you know, 10, 15 years. And anyway, when we started putting a live show together for those kids shows, you know, those albums were a huge production with a lot of different instruments, horn sections. So that's how I met Ted, is through that, because he played sax in the horn section. Oh, and then he'd have me come and teach a course at the community college, you know, music appreciation or whatever it was. And so, yeah, Ted putting that whole thing on, especially for the community out there, is like, you know, it's amazing. It's a great experience for me. And
sold out shows. It's several sold out shows, a matinee in there. Scott, you'll have to come check it out.
Yeah.
Quinn will be in it again, so we always go out and see it. But it's just that's just huge for our community and for those students to get exposed to. I mean, even my son being a student out there, I mean, you know, Edgar Struble, who played with Kenny Rogers, who was the music director for the American Music Awards. He taught my son how to play auxiliary percussion, you know, and it's like, you don't get that all the time, you know? Yeah. So that's huge for us. Before we let you go, you got anything coming up that we should know about, that our listeners should know about?
I mean, I guess you could just check out my website. Everything's up to date.
Good. We'll post a link to your website.
Yeah, we have Verve Pipe has a record. It's been done probably for 6 months now. I think it's coming out in June.
Cool.
So new records coming out there. I have my solo record coming out, I think, in October. If I find time to finish it. Joel Ferguson is helping produce it for me.
Love him.
Mixing and producing. So yeah,
June,
then other than that, gigs, here and there, and
June
tours.
20 and 21. June 20 at Sticks in Ludington with the Great Affairs.
Yep.
June 21 at Warner Vineyards in Paw Paw with the Great Affairs.
And
Yeah.
those shows are important to us because the Great Affairs are just a favorite around here. We have Scott and I have a lot of common ground in music, and certainly a lot of opposition, since I like robot music and he doesn't. But the Great Affairs are one of those bands that everyone I've played them for, nobody, from my kid to friends who have NMD, they're just the best. They're a great. You're gonna get a real taste of power pop.
Well, I'm
Tastiness.
really excited to
Yeah,
check
they're
them
great.
out. Yeah.
We'll
And thanks
see
for
you there.
reminding me of those dates, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably looking. He's probably looking in his phone right now, going, "Shit, I'm double booked. I'm double booked. I'm double booked."
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, Lou. We so
Thanks for
appreciate
having me,
it,
guys.
brother.
Appreciate it. Thank
Scott,
you.
you got anything to leave us with today?
Is it true what they say about money? You can't take it with you when you die. Well, put a little change in my pocket and let me give it a try.
We'll see you later, everyone. Thanks so much, Lou.
Thanks,
Take
Lou.
care, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Thank you.